Hello and welcome to our podcast. I'm Emma, and here with me is Max. We're so happy you're joining us today. We're here to talk about something that can make a big difference in learning English: daily practice. Now, I know practice sounds like something serious, but we'll show you it can actually be simple and fun.
Exactly. Hey, Emma, when we say daily practice, what comes to mind for you? I think a lot of people picture sitting down with a textbook every day.
Oh, definitely, but daily practice doesn't have to be formal. It can be as simple as listening to a short video in English, reading an English article, or even talking to yourself in English. Practicing even a little each day can really help you get comfortable with the language.
That's right. I like to compare it to exercising. You know, when we exercise, even for a few minutes each day, we start to feel stronger. English is the same. It's like a muscle that grows each time you use it. So even if you only have 5 minutes, you're still doing something really valuable for your learning.
That's right. I like to compare it to exercising. You know, when we exercise, even for a few minutes each day, we start to feel stronger. English is the same. It's like a muscle that grows each time you use it. So even if you only have 5 minutes, you're still doing something really valuable for your learning.
Great point. And what's fun about that is you're using real-life situations. You're not just memorizing words, you're connecting them to your actions. And over time, your mind will start thinking in English automatically.
Yes, that's the goal, right? To think in English. Because when we start thinking in English, we're not translating in our heads anymore. And that makes speaking easier, faster, and a lot more natural.
Exactly, Emma, and you know, it's amazing how these little daily habits can add up. Let's say someone spends just 10 minutes a day practicing English. That's over an hour a week, which is about 4 or 5 hours a month. That's a lot of practice.
Well, when you put it like that, it's pretty powerful, right? So maybe the key is to make English practice part of everyday life. For example, if someone loves music, they could listen to one English song each day and try to sing along. Or if they like cooking, they could watch an English cooking video.
Yes, those are awesome ideas, and that's the beauty of it. By finding small ways to bring English into your day, you make practice part of your normal routine. And routines are great because they become habits without us even thinking about them.
That's true. The more we repeat something, the easier it becomes. And let's remember, practice isn't just about speaking. It can also mean listening or reading. Like when you're on the bus or walking, you can listen to a podcast or an audiobook in English, or read a short article on your phone.
Totally. And, you know, it's interesting how our brains work. The more we expose ourselves to English through listening, reading, or speaking, the more our brains get used to it. It's like building a network of words and phrases in our minds that we can use whenever we need.
Yes, and it's helpful to remember that mistakes are part of the process, too. When people practice daily, they start to realize that making mistakes is okay. The important thing is to keep going, even if you feel a little shy or unsure sometimes.
Absolutely. In fact, making mistakes is how we learn. Imagine if a baby stopped trying to walk because they fell a few times. They'd never learn to walk. It's the same with language. Each mistake is a step toward better English.
Well said, Max, and it's also helpful to set a small goal each day. Maybe today, someone wants to focus on learning 3 new words. That's not a huge goal, but over a month, that's almost 100 new words.
Wow. Yeah, just 3 words a day can really add up. And it doesn't even have to be words that are completely new. It could be words they already know but don't use much. Practicing those words and making them part of your vocabulary is super helpful.
So true. And for everyone listening, remember that consistency is more important than doing a lot at once. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day, make it a habit.
Alright, so let's dive deeper. We talked about how small daily habits can really build up over time. But Emma, I was thinking, there are so many ways to practice. We should give some examples to make it easier for everyone to see just how many options there are, right?
Great idea, Max. I think variety is key. When we change up our practice, we keep things interesting, and we might even enjoy it more. For instance, if you usually listen to music, maybe one day you could switch to a podcast or a YouTube video. Mixing up the types of content keeps your mind active, and you learn different words and accents too.
Yes, and let's not forget about watching TV shows or movies in English. Even cartoons can be a great resource. They're fun, not too hard, and many have simple language and lots of visual cues. You can try watching with subtitles, and over time, maybe even turn them off to challenge yourself a little.
That's a fantastic way to practice. Watching things you enjoy makes learning feel less like studying. And sometimes, people find that they start picking up on phrases or expressions that aren't in textbooks, which is pretty exciting. You know, real-life language that people actually use.
Yes, exactly. And while we're talking about phrases, another great habit is to choose a phrase of the day. It's simple. Pick one phrase you'd like to use more, write it down, and find a way to say it at least once that day. It could be something like, "How's it going?" or "Sounds good to me."
Oh, I love that. It's almost like a challenge. And by using a new phrase each day, you slowly build a library of expressions you're comfortable with. Plus, these are expressions you can use in different situations, which makes you sound more natural.
Yes, and speaking of challenges, I think it's also fun to practice English by setting small, creative challenges for yourself. Like, you could decide to go a whole morning where everything you think about or talk about is in English. It doesn't have to be perfect, just try. It could be describing your breakfast, thinking about what you need to do next, anything, just to get your brain working in English.
That's a fun idea, kind of like a mini English day. And the best part is, you're pushing your mind to think in English, which is so important. This can help with fluency and make English feel more natural to you. Even 5 minutes of this is so helpful.
And if you do this regularly, maybe once or twice a week, it will become easier and easier. Another idea could be to use English for your hobbies. Like, if someone loves photography, they could try watching English tutorials about it or reading articles. Or if someone enjoys sports, they could watch interviews with athletes in English. It's like learning two things at once.
Absolutely. And that's really powerful because you're not just learning words that you might forget. You're learning things you care about, so they stick in your memory. When you're interested, you stay focused, and that helps you learn faster.
Yes, and that's the key, learning in a way that keeps you motivated. And it doesn't have to be just listening or reading, there's also writing. I know a lot of people find writing to be a bit scary, but it can be very helpful too. Even something small, like writing a short journal entry or a sentence about your day, can make a big difference.
That's so true. And a journal is a great idea because it's private. No one else has to see it, so there's no pressure to be perfect. You can just write your thoughts, your goals, or even a list of things you did that day. And over time, you'll notice your writing improves.
Exactly, and it's also nice to look back at what you've written and see your progress. You might notice that things you struggled with before become easier, and that's a great feeling. Also, writing can help you learn grammar naturally because you're practicing putting sentences together.
Yes, and even little things like writing a shopping list in English or labeling things around your house with English words can help. If you put fridge on your refrigerator or window on your window, you see those words every day, and they stick with you.
I love that idea. Small reminders around you can make a big difference. And speaking of reminders, you could also try using English on your phone. Change the language settings to English. That way, every time you pick up your phone, you're seeing English.
Yes, that's a smart move. It can be a little tricky at first, but you get used to it quickly, and it's a really easy way to add more English into your day. It's amazing how much vocabulary you pick up just from seeing words like settings, calendar, and messages every day.
Absolutely. And don't forget that English practice doesn't always need to be solo. If you have a friend or family member who's also learning English, you can practice together. Maybe have a conversation in English for a few minutes. It's a fun way to support each other.
Oh, for sure. And if you don't know anyone nearby, there are online communities and language exchange partners. There are apps and websites where people can practice together, even if they're in different countries. It's such a great way to meet people and practice speaking.
Yes, and it's amazing how many people want to help each other learn. It's also a chance to learn about different cultures while practicing English. It makes the process even more interesting.
That's such a good point, Max. When you connect with others, you realize that learning English is more than just studying. It's about communication and connecting with people. And sometimes, that can be the most motivating thing of all.
Exactly, Emma, and that's really the power of daily practice. Each time you use a bit of English, you're building your skills and getting more confident. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to keep going.
All right, let's keep going. We've talked a lot about how small, daily actions can help you practice English and how you can make it a fun part of your routine. Now, Max, I think it's important to touch on something else: staying motivated. Learning a language is a long journey, and sometimes it can feel challenging. What do you think can help people stay motivated?
That's a great question, Emma. Motivation can be tricky because, as we know, it goes up and down. I think one way to keep motivation strong is to remember why you started learning English in the first place. Maybe you want to travel, get a new job, or connect with friends and family who speak English. Whatever your reason, keeping it in mind can help you push through those tough days.
Yes, that's so true. It's like having a little reminder of your goal. And I think another thing that helps is celebrating small wins. Like, if you finish reading an English article or understand a short video, that's progress. Recognizing these small steps can keep you going, even if they seem small at first.
Absolutely, Emma, and that's something I think many people forget. They might think, oh, I just learned a few words today. It's not much, but every word you learn, every sentence you understand, is one step closer to fluency. Language learning is really a journey of small steps, and they all add up.
Exactly, Max. And here's another idea for staying motivated. Find something in English that you really enjoy. For example, if you love animals, you could follow a YouTube channel about animals or read articles about pets. Or if you like cooking, find recipes in English. When you connect English to something you already love, it doesn't feel like studying at all.
That's so true, Emma, and it's actually more effective because you're learning in a way that feels natural. It's easier to remember words and phrases when they're related to something you're genuinely interested in. Plus, it makes practice enjoyable, and we're more likely to keep going when we enjoy it.
Absolutely, and let's not forget the importance of setting small, realistic goals. Some people get discouraged because they expect to become fluent quickly, but learning a language takes time. So instead of focusing on fluency, maybe focus on small goals like I want to understand one new phrase today, or I want to speak for 5 minutes in English.
That's a really good point, Emma. Small goals make it easier to see progress and feel proud of yourself. And over time, all those little goals lead to big improvements. Another helpful thing is to create a schedule. If you set aside just 10 minutes each day, it becomes part of your routine, and you'll be surprised at how much you improve.
Yes, consistency is key. And by having a set time, you build a habit, so it feels natural to practice every day. I also think it's helpful to be kind to yourself during this journey. Learning a language is challenging, and it's normal to have days where it feels harder. But as long as you keep going, you're making progress.
That's such good advice, Emma. I think sometimes people put too much pressure on themselves. Language learning should be enjoyable, even if it's hard work. And if you miss a day, it's okay, just start again the next day. The important thing is not to give up.
Exactly, Max. And another tip is to look back at where you started. Sometimes we get so focused on what we still need to learn that we forget how far we've come. Maybe 6 months ago, you couldn't understand a full English sentence, and now you can. Reflecting on your progress can be really motivating.
Yes, that's such a good idea. It's easy to forget all the progress we've made, especially when learning something as complex as a language. And you know, Emma, I think people should also try to focus on enjoying the process. Each new word you learn, each conversation you understand, is part of the adventure of learning English.
Absolutely, Max. Learning a language opens up new worlds, new friendships, and new experiences. And even though it takes time, each day of practice brings you closer to fluency. So, for everyone listening, remember that small actions, like listening to this podcast, are helping you move forward.
Yes, and Emma, don't you think it's amazing how, over time, all these small actions build up? One day, you might find yourself talking to someone in English without thinking about it. And that's because of all the effort you put in each day. It's like building a wall, brick by brick.
That's such a good comparison, Max, and we hope everyone listening feels encouraged to keep going. Practice is powerful, and the more you practice, the more confident you'll become. So keep exploring, keep trying new things, and don't forget to enjoy each step.
Exactly, we're here cheering you on, and remember, learning English is about more than just words. It's about connecting with people, learning about different cultures, and growing in confidence. And we're so glad to be part of your journey.
Thank you all for listening. We hope this podcast has given you some helpful ideas for making English part of your daily life. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this podcast with your friends and family who are learning English, too.
Yes, share it with anyone who could use a little extra support in their English journey. We're here to make learning enjoyable, and we're excited to keep sharing more tips with you.
Thanks again for joining us. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and remember, you've got this. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, and happy practicing.